Thank you, everybody. I am sorry for the confusion. Let me just read a couple of reminders as we get started today. Councilmember Pridemore will not be with us. He is at the planning department doing his other part of our day job. So I just wanted to share with you some of the procedures for those of you that are new to this. I will be introducing each department head and elected official and moving forward with each of our budget hearings that are scheduled. As far as reminders, members of Budget and Finance Committee will be recognized first. And since each department is scheduled for a limited amount of time, I just want to ask you to be respectful of others and of our time constraints so everyone may have an opportunity to ask their questions. And please, 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 questions should be limited to the budget, not operations, and not district-specific items. Please don't take time in the hearings for personal comments or congratulations to the different departments. If you have questions that are not related to the budget, you certainly can reach out to these department heads in the coming days. The Finance Department Help Desk will be in Committee Room 1 if you have any questions or more detailed information. I would like to introduce our state trial courts and presiding Judge Joe Binkley and Mr. Tim Townsend, Trial Court Administrator. As far as standard questions that we've been asked to share, Mr. Binkley, I will just share with you our first question that you can include as any part of your presentation.
All right.
As stewards of taxpayer dollars, members of council have been charged with ensuring that public funds are used in an effective and efficient manner, delivering maximum service to the citizens of Nashville. If your budget includes an increase, could you please present to the council how your funds will improve these services? If your budget does not include an increase in funding, how will your department sustain the level of services that you're now providing? The floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Vice Chair Sherry Weiner of the Budget and Finance. I am Joe Binkley, Jr. I am the presiding judge of the 20th Judicial District, which is Nashville, Davidson County, Tennessee. It's 18 trial judges. To my right is Tim Townsend, our trial court administrator. To my left is Joe Werner, the deputy trial court administrator. And in the audience, we have several of my colleagues, 4th Circuit Court Judge Phil Smith, 8th Circuit Court Judge Kelvin Jones, Part 2 Chancery Court Carol McCoy, Part 4 Chancery Court Russell Perkins, and I am the 5th Circuit Court Judge Davidson County, in addition to being the presiding judge. Thank you all. We appreciate our opportunity to appear before you all, and I want to thank Mayor Barry, Finance Director Talia Lomax O'Neill, Stan Romines, Budget Director, and all their staffs and their assistance in guiding us through and preparing for this budget presentation. Also, we appreciate COO, Chief Operating Officer Rich Riebling. As I said, there are 18 state trial courts that do business in Nashville, Tennessee, and we are the 20th judicial district. There are 31 judicial districts in Tennessee, and we are the 20th. We are a standalone county district because of the size of our county and the amount of legal work that we undertake. Last year, our 18 judges disposed of over 21,000 cases. We dispose of more cases in the state than any other judicial district. Now, we are a large judicial district, but we're not the largest. The largest is Shelby County, Memphis, and they have more judges than we do, and we dispose of more cases than they do. Our top priority is to keep cases moving through the system as quickly as possible. That helps the citizens of our county to move the cases through as quickly as possible. We're constantly analyzing our caseload to assure that our judicial resources align with the needs of the public, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. The first thing we have done to make sure we're using our judicial resources efficiently, we've created a separate DUI court and the circuit court. DUIs are criminal cases, and the circuit courts have taken those DUI criminal cases, first, second, and third offense DUI cases, and all first offender domestic violence cases to the Circuit Court. Judge Amanda McClendon, Second Circuit Court judge, is presiding over these cases, the first, second, third DUIs, and first offense domestic violence. I, as well as some of the other circuit court judges, have agreed and have been ready, willing, and able, and on standby to help Judge McClendon try as many cases as she can possibly try. And if she has more cases than she can try, we help her. Last year, the Tennessee Supreme Court designated Chancellor Ellen Hobbs Lyle, who is Part 3, Chancery Court, Davidson County, to preside over a pilot project business court. There are 27 states who have specialized business courts in the United States, and we are now, the state of Tennessee is now undergoing a pilot project business court, but Chancellor Lyle in Davidson County is that judge. And she is also has her own docket, but her colleagues in Chancery Court, Chancellors Bonneman, McCoy, and Perkins, are all helping with her regular docket so she can concentrate on her business court docket. The circuit court judges are also helping Chancellor Lyle with her regular docket and are trying many of her cases, as well as the other chancellors are trying many of her set cases on her regular docket so she can concentrate on the business court pilot project. The business court pilot project is an overwhelming success. It's only been in place for 1 year. May of 2015 is when it started, and there's already a record number of cases for the first year of any state's business court have been filed in the Part 3 Chancery Court business court docket. It handles complex commercial litigation. That's what the business court does, with the goal of expediting complex commercial litigation. If we expedite the cases, the costs of trying these cases are reduced, and there's, if one judge is trying these cases, there is a body of law with predictable outcomes. In other words, you got one judge trying all these cases, you kind of know what this judge is going to do in certain situations. So it gives more predictability, and I think the business community likes predictability whenever they go to court. We also have two other specialized courts, community corrections. It's really a department, not really a court, and a drug court program. The community corrections program is headed by Judge Mark Fishburne, who is a criminal court judge, Division 5 of criminal court. Judge Seth Norman is the judge over the drug court program. Judge Norman is Division 4 of criminal court. Both of these judges are accomplishing incredible results that are saving the taxpayers of our county. If you're on community corrections, it's an alternative to jail. If you're in jail, it costs the taxpayers money to house people in jail. Community corrections attempts to keep people out of jail, have them work, you know, that word, W-O-R-K, that rather than sit around in jail. And then the drug court program, Judge Norman, you all will not believe the success that Judge Norman has accomplished. He has been doing this drug court program in Davidson County for 20 years. He is also doing a drug court program in the evenings in Cookeville, Putnam County, and in Wartburg, Morgan County. And so Judge Norman is working, to say the least, overtime on 3 drug courts in our state. But the Davidson County Drug Court has a recidivism or repeat offender rate of 15%. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a phenomenal number when you consider the national recidivism rate is 58%. In other words, the national rate for repeat offenders who've come out of drug court and have continued to repeat is 58%. Judge Norman's recidivism rate, 15%. Phenomenal accomplishment. Judge Norman, on Law Day, May 1 of this year, was given the Jack Norman Award. The Jack Norman Award is named after Judge Seth Norman's father, Jack Norman Sr. And that Jack Norman Award is given to a judge whose practice, or actually, sorry, it's given to an attorney or a judge. In this case, it was given to Judge Norman, whose service pertains to criminal law and demonstrates the respect of the rights of individuals in the criminal justice system, exhibits judicial skills necessary to the pursuit of justice, demonstrates an abiding respect for the law and legal profession, maintains the highest standard of professional integrity and ethical conduct, and contributes to the improvement of the legal profession and criminal justice system. So Judge Norman received that award from the Nashville Bar Association, recognizing him as an outstanding jurist. And again, ladies and gentlemen, Judge Norman is saving the taxpayers an enormous amount of money. Judge Norman, when he took his acceptance speech, when he received the Jack Norman Award named after his father, part of his speech was that he has, over his 20 years of presiding over the drug court program in Davidson County, he saved the Davidson County taxpayers $30 million over 20 years, an amazing accomplishment. We also have made an adjustment to one of our dockets to better accommodate the order of protection cases. A special master has been assigned to hear orders of protections on Mondays and Tuesdays, and everyone is very satisfied and very happy with the special master's work on the order of protection docket. She brings efficiency and consistency to the process for all the parties involved. We are very happy with the mayor's proposed budget for the next fiscal year, especially the funds designated for employee compensation. As you all know, all of us, 18 judges, our employees are Metro employees, and so they will benefit from the increase in funds that's been recommended. We've asked for improvement items. One of the improvement items is $165,000, which has been recommended. It's an annual maintenance coverage and software fees on our recently installed equipment in our courtrooms. We have 12 of our 18 courtrooms have this equipment already installed. The others are waiting to be installed, and we're going to be requesting for next fiscal year some additional funds for the installation of this equipment. The equipment speeds the trials along. I try a lot of cases in the Fifth Circuit Court, and I can't tell you how beneficial that equipment is to move cases forward. You can put paper on the screen. We have a screen that can be seen by the jurors, a screen that can be seen by the judge, a screen that can be seen by the witness, and a screen that can be seen by counsel for the plaintiff and counsel for the defendant for any documents that are presented. And putting those on a screen rather than passing them around to everybody and taking the time to pass them around and waiting for the jurors to look at each of the jurors to look at these documents and waiting to continue with the trial while the jurors are looking at the documents. They can all see it at the same time, and things can be pointed out to them in mass, and they can look at it on the screen and understand it much better. And it moves things along. Another advantage to the taxpayers, we're moving cases along faster. Therefore, the jurors don't spend as much time in court. They don't cost the county for the pay that they get. It's a great big pay, $10 a day. But anyway, it adds up when we got 180 people a week on jury weeks, and you're going to pay them, then pay others who are staying over beyond that Monday. If you got a week-long trial, you got to pay all those jurors for a week who are sitting on that case. So that's a big savings, because we can move the cases faster. They don't take as long to try, therefore we don't tie up jurors as long, therefore it doesn't cost as much. If we don't tie the jurors up, if we try a 5-day case in 3 days or 4 days, or a 2-day case in 1 day, we've saved the taxpayers money. There are 2 items which we would respectfully request that were not recommended. One is a $31,000 per year professional liability insurance coverage for the 18 judges. Now, we are subject to being sued and have been sued for doing our job, okay? For doing our job. When people are not happy with us, particularly people who represent themselves, this is mostly pro se, self-represented litigants that sue us, they don't appeal, or maybe they'll appeal and sue us because they don't like what we did. And so the most recent case that, where a judge has been sued, Judge Steve Dozier, judge of, Division One of criminal court, had a sovereign citizen as a defendant who was charged with not having a driver's license. You know, the sovereign citizens don't believe they should have driver's license. They don't believe they should have license plates. There's a lot of things they don't believe in that, you know, our average citizens must do to be proper operating citizens. In any event, Judge Norman, trial went forward. The sovereign citizen represented himself. Judge Norman found him guilty and sentenced him. And then he sued Judge Norman. I'm sorry, Judge Dozier, sorry, thank you. Judge Dozier sued Judge Dozier in the Western District of the federal court. You know, that the federal court, number one, has no, no jurisdiction over this situation, and the Western District certainly doesn't. If he's going to sue in federal court, he needs to sue in the Middle District, you know, where we're located, not the Western District. And it, you know, he had to go through that process. Also, our special master, Marsh Nichols, was part of that lawsuit. Now, she had nothing to do with that trial whatsoever, nothing. And she was named as a defendant in that federal lawsuit. So he had to go through the process of getting it dismissed. Now, it has recently been dismissed, but, you know, so anyway, that's just the most recent thing that's occurred. We've had several situations like that, and we, you know, if we do something really wrong, which we're not supposed to do as a judge, then maybe we should be sued. But we shouldn't be sued for doing our job. You know, we just shouldn't. It just shouldn't happen. And we need some protection, and we would appreciate that if we could get that. We are not wanting to be sounding like we want too much, and we are appreciative of what we get, very appreciative of what we get, but if we could get that additional funding for liability insurance, it would be most appreciated. That item was funded before 2008. I became a judge in 2008 after 40 years of law practice, and in 2008 is when the budget cuts started. And one of the first things to go was liability insurance, understandable. And then, you know, cuts after cuts after cuts. And then finally, last year, there's the first year, last budget year, the first year we had no cuts since 2008. So this is really a request to reinstate what was already in place before the economy went south. And, you know, we all had to just tighten our belts. I mean, we did it and you know, did the best we could with what we had, because that's what everybody else had to do. And we have one other request, which is not as important, but it is a request for training and continuing education for the judges and our trial court employees, $30,000 per year. That was also something in place before 2008. And thank you, and I'm ready to answer any questions.
Okay, the floor is open. Councilmember Glover.
Thank you, Chair. Judge, so the professional liability, I would assume, just like in my profession, I have to carry E&O,
yes, sir.
Which I have to pay for. I assume you still are carrying that, even though we as the city are not picking up the tab for you?
Well, some of us are, some of us aren't. I have, and I think some others have, but others have not.
Okay. And then the $30,000 for the continuing education for the judges and the employees, what's the total sum, the number there of, I know there's 18 judges, but how many employees would that impact?
How many employees do we have?
We have 100 state trial court employees.
Yep.
And probably...
Your microphone's on.
Okay, thank you. And probably would impact 25, maybe 30. What we'd have to do is a certain number could go each year, and try to make sure that if there's a course that comes up that is extremely important, we would send the person to that. Like jury coordinator, the there's a great program in Atlanta, and it's either in May or June, and it's for limited to 45 jury coordinators or people that are working with a jury, which is like a great course, probably costs $2,000. So if each one of those courses are $2,000, then we maybe could send 15 people throughout the year.
And we're more interested in our employees and the judges. We have judicial conferences where we get continuing legal education, but it's limited. We can get much higher grade continuing legal education if we go outside the state to National Judicial College.
Okay, so the $30,000, if I heard what I think I just heard then, excuse me, the $30,000 then would really be more beneficial for the employees, not the judges per se.
Yes, sir. It'd be both, but more so for the employees. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chair.
Councilmember Mendez.
Thank you, Chair. Judge, does the business court have any incremental cost that we're picking up because we're hosting the trial program?
No.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
And I noticed on the one of the sheets that we've got in the budget book that there's 2 full-time employees, 1 drug lab assistant and 1 related to a grant that you'll be doing with 2 less employees. Is that going to impact any level of service?
Mr. Townsend can answer that.
No, sir. The drug lab employee, we have, it was basic, the drug lab handles drug tests, and it also handles electronic monitoring. The electronic monitoring side, we have placed that now with a contract vendor. So we reduced that position in order to be able to, so that's that one. The grant position, we applied for the grant. We were sure it's coming, but since we won't know until September, we pulled it out. So it will not affect negatively
All right.
our aspects.
And then on the professional liability insurance, so when like that lawsuit happened with Judge Dozier and Marsh Nichols, does Metro Legal provide a defense then? Or how does that work?
Well, Metro Legal, well, let me back up. We were in a time period when we've gathered the money ourselves with our budget to pay for all the trial court judges' liability insurance for the last fiscal year. So we had an insurance coverage for that particular situation for both Marsh Nichols and Judge Dozier. Now, I think the answer to your question is if we didn't have liability insurance, would Metro Legal pick up the representation of Marsh Nichols? I think they have the option to say yes or no. I mean, she's a Metro employee. Hopefully they would say yes. Now, the State Attorney General has the option to say yes or no. That they would defend a state employee, a state trial judge. But there have been occasions. Judge Cheryl Blackburn, for instance, was sued before I became a judge, and Judge Blackburn advised when she went to the Attorney General and asked for representation, they said, we're going to think about it. And they turned her down, and she had to hire her own attorney for the beginning, and then they finally agreed to represent her. Now, Judge Blackburn could probably shed more light on the situation of what occurred, but I think it's optional. It's not mandatory.
And one more question about that. Would that cover the $31,000? Would that cover the general sessions judges too, or just the state trial court judges?
State trial court judges.
All right.
The general session judges have liability insurance in place and have had. Now, I think they had to relinquish theirs during the budget crunch time too, I believe. I'm not sure. Judge Moreland's shaking his head. I think that's right. Is that right, Judge Moreland? He can't hear me. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Sorry.
Councilmember Pulley.
Thank you, Chair. Just to expand a little bit on the liability coverage. We all understand the need for all that for many of our employees. You referred to the one lawsuit with Judge Dozier, Ms. Norman. Have there been any more?
Yes, that's just the most recent one. I didn't compile. I've been trying lawsuits all week, so I really didn't have a chance to compile all of the lawsuits that have been filed since 2008, since I've been a judge. But I mean, they go, go way back too, Councilmember. I just don't have all of them. It's not all the time. It's more frequently than we like. Okay.
And maybe a quick question for Mr. Riebling as it relates to this. Do we fund liability insurance for police officers and the like who also are subject to being sued in their line of duty, or they have to fund their own liability insurance?
I don't think I know the answer to that, to be honest with you. I think that the Metro Legal Department would represent them if they are sued. And sometimes when there's a multiple defendants, Metro will actually pay for outside counsel, so there's no conflict between the parties. But I don't know about actual liability if they actually have insurance. I think they have that through the Fraternal Order of Police.
Okay.
Does that sound right? Somebody said that? Yeah. So I think their insurance is covered through their FOP membership.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge Moreland, did you want to come to the lectern, and did you have a comment you wanted to add?
I was just saying I'd been sued 3 times.
It's on. The mic's on.
I just was commented that I'd been sued 3 times in the last 5 years, so all of which our insurance took care of, and all were dismissed as.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
Councilmember Hager.
Thank you, Judge, for being here. On this liability insurance, is this a bid that y'all have already got from a particular company, or did y'all put it out to different companies? And what's the limits of liability?
Mr. Townsend can answer that, but it is out for bid.
All right.
And then the limits, I don't know what the limits are.
Do not know the limits. The company is a company that represents the general sessions judges, and we called it SPAN. I think.
Okay.
And
Bob
so
Spann,
we
insurance
called
agency.
and got the same rates that whatever the general sessions judges
Okay.
were on.
And are they the only company that offer this, or do you know of any other companies that offer it? Like we do with lawyers, we shop around for different rates.
We did not shop around.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But you don't know the limits of liability then? What's
Right, I
$1
do
million,
not.
$2 million?
I do not know the limit, no.
Can you get that to me later?
Yes,
Okay.
we'll get it to you.
All right, thank you.
And we went with Bob Spann because the general sessions judges have always done Bob Spann, and we thought that would be the thing for us to do also.
Well, he does all our bonds too for notaries most of the time we go to Bob.
Yes, sir.
He's been around a long time.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Councilmember Hager.
Judge Binkley, we have no one else in the queue. Thank you for being here
All right,
with us.
thank you.